Tonight's episode of the HabWrap was initially supposed to begin with a funny little segment of me shaving off the playoff beard. However, in light of Claude Lemieux's tragic passing yesterday, I believe it's only fair that we have a small moment of silence before the episode begins. If you or someone that you know is suffering with any personal demons, please talk to somebody. There's always someone who's looking to help. You are never alone. And rest in peace, Claude Lemieux. Salaboo, everybody, and welcome back to the HabWrap. I am your host, Harry Rice. You are listening to the friendliest and funniest source for anything and everything related to the Montreal Canadiens for the final time in the 2025-26 season. The Montreal Canadiens playing Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina is, of course, leading the series 3-1 headed into tonight, and we know that it was going to end tonight. We could tell from the middle of Game 3 that it was going to end, and not a fantastic game for the Canadiens, really, at all. So, a plethora of things to talk about from the game, outside of the game, and so we're just gonna get right into everything because I don't see the need for me to stay up longer than half an hour, which I think is fair enough. So we're just gonna get into the lines. They're obviously very important. You need lines to play a hockey game. What are they? Well, plenty of people speculating before the game that the Canadiens are gonna change the lines up a little bit and, put a couple guys in. Arbor Jacki was being thrown around, Brendan Gallagher. So let's see what the lines are. The opening lines for the Canadiens were Caufield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky, Newhook, Evans, Demidov, Bolduc, Veleno, Doc, Texier, Andersen, Deneau, Matheson, Dobson, Struble, Hudson, Gooley, Carrier. Marty decides to change jack shit with the lines tonight. That is right. Pete DeBoer 2.0. I'm not going to waste any more energy on Marty than he wastes on the team, which is clearly none. So I'm just going to call him Pete DeBoer and move on. Jakub Dabesh gets the start in net for tonight, and Jacob Fowler continues to back him up. The opening lines for the Hurricanes were Svechnikov, Aho, Jarvis, Hall, Stankoven, Blake, Ehlers, Stahl, Martinook, and Carrier, Jankowski, Robinson, Slavin, Chatfield, Miller, Walker, and Gosh Jesper Nikishin were on the blue line. No line changes because Carolina doesn't need to make line changes. Frederik Andersen obviously gets the start between the pipes, and Brendan Bussey continues to back him up. Before the game, there was a rumor that Arbor would be in tonight, but nope. Again, not happening. So, Caden Gooley gets to play, despite being suffering with an injury, or dealing with an injury, I should say. So Gooley's still in, Struble is still in, no Arbor, no Florian, no Gallagher, just in general, no Black Aces, absolutely nothing changed for the Montreal Canadiens, and I do get it to an extent. I do get that, you ride with these guys, you want to die with these guys. I get it. But at the same time, you're trying to win a Stanley Cup. And Marty is not going to do that by playing Joe Veleno, Kirby Dach, Alex Texier, Zach Bolduc, and Jaden Struble when they're clearly gassed like the rest of the guys. He's going to get there by putting in fresh bodies when he needs to. Just, I don't know. I would have thought the fans would have been rewarded with at least a little bit of a line change. Maybe Arbor, maybe Gallagher. I don't know, maybe even an Owen Beck, maybe. But I would have even taken an Adam Engstrom. Even though he's an 8th defenseman behind Struble, I would have taken him. Nope. Nothing. So, that's all the stuff from the pregame. For the first period, my first note was no line changes. Jesus. Before the game as well, a very beautiful but short tribute to Claude Lemieux by the Hurricanes. That is very, very nice to see. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that on the broadcast they mentioned a couple times Frederik Andersen was actually a client of Claude Lemieux. He was his agent for a long time. I don't know how long exactly. They actually surprisingly didn't say it, but clearly long enough to the point Frederik considered Claude Lemieux part of his family. So Frederik clearly dealing with a lot, as is the Lemieux family right now. Apparently was asked, I don't know if by Rod or the goalie coach or somebody in the Hurricanes organization, if he felt like he was still good to go tonight. And he told him that, yeah, he wanted to play, and yeah, he obviously gets the start. I mentioned it earlier. So both teams, in a way, might be playing for Claude Lemieux tonight. Will they? Well, let's find out. Off the draw, Matheson with an immediate turnover, and the shot is over the net 7 seconds in. So in other words, nothing's changing. The same old with the Canadiens. Dobesh holds on to the next shot from the line by Walker. Dobesh makes a good save on Aho. The shots are 3-0 Hurricanes a minute in. Slafkovsky has a pass in the skates, or gets a pass in the skates, isn't able to receive it well. Ehlers has a shot, pad saved by Dobesh. Series was already over, you could tell. Canadiens were coming out the exact same way they came out the last 3 games. Technically, you could argue the last 4 games. Remember, Carolina opened the scoring in the series 30 seconds in Game 1. So you could argue they started the series the way they ended the series. God-awful. So, yeah, Hudson, though, ends up drawing a hook on Svechnikov on a spinorama during a small Habs pressure. The Habs do try to cycle on the pending penalty, but that goes nowhere, and Habs get a power play at 2:38 instead. Martinook ends up clearing off of a promising look for Caufield. Habs end up offside on an entry. The Canes dump. Dobesh makes the save. Habs have a dump in that actually gets deflected off the post. Jesus. Habs then get a good look. Demidov finds Slafkovsky. There's a shot saved. The rebound is loose, and the Habs end up clearing it themselves. The second unit comes out. Texier finds Newhook, but that ends up wide. Habs are 0 for 1 on the power play tonight. Deneau's a shot that hits Andy, almost ends up in as a result. Back the other way, Robinson has a shot held by Dobesh. Habs with a look. Evans almost ends up finding Newhook. Suzuki gets some speed. Suzuki has a backhand look. The Canes ice a puck moments later. The Habs then ice a puck after the Canes press. Habs sticks are getting in the way, trying to slowly get things figured out during the game. Would it happen? Yeah, no. Just a spoiler. Not happening. And Keeshan has a one-timer, saved by Dobesh. And then the Canes score after Texier with a nice hit from behind on Taylor Hall. Stankoven goes to the net. He fires it, and Hall buries the rebound under the pad of Dobesh for the 1-0 lead. And Marty challenges for goalie interference. On the replay, I mean, he drives to the net, does Stankoven. Stankoven drives to the net. It's a clear, just scoring opportunity. He doesn't impede Dobesh whatsoever, and yeah, the refs agree. It's a great call. It's an unfortunate call by Marty. It's the one that's just honestly plain stupid. It's 1-0 Carolina, and the goal stands. So Marty gets called for a 2-minute minor for delay of game. He is not given an explanation though. I think Dobesh would be later on. After a stoppage, he'd asked the refs, and I believe they gave him an explanation, but Yeah, you might want to give the head coach the explanation as well, considering it's a very simple one of he's just having a simple trajectory to the net. He doesn't prevent the scoring opportunity that persists, and the goal that happens, he does not stop that. So, yeah, the Habs can't clear. Believe me, if I could skate, I'd be an official. I'd be a top-tier official in the NHL, no doubt. The Habs can't clear. The Canes end up holding one in. They finally clear after a good hit along the boards. Canes press right away, but off a bouncer, and he clears. Habs are 1-for-1 on the penalty kill tonight. Hall ends up giving one away to Zach Bolduc. He does get a rush. There's a backhander saved. He and Miller exchange shots after the whistle. There's another turnover that leads to a Canes push. Martinook on a rebound. A great pair of saves by Dobesh. Martinook then shoves at Dobesh's pad. There's no retaliation from the Canadiens. Blake off of a turnover has a shot, but Dobesh makes the pad save. Another turnover after a near Habs rush. A Svechnikov shot is gloved and held. Oh, by the way, Hall scores from Stankoven and Blake at 9:17. Just felt I needed to remember to say that. I have the things pulled up right in front of me, but I'm looking down at my phone, so I forget sometimes. There's a fetch shot, gloved and held, and the Habs get a power play with 7 minutes left. Svechnikov is called 2 minutes for goalie interference after he runs into Dobesh. What a moron. The Canes clear early 3 times. Second unit comes out. Doc in front. Newhook with some puck control. The Canes end up clearing. Robinson has a late rush shorthanded off of a Texier passing play. The Habs are 0 for 2 on the power play. And then the Canes strike. Stankoven gets his 9th of the playoffs. He scores from Hall. And Nikishin, who has his first point of the playoffs, I believe first career playoff point, but they didn't mention it on the broadcast. So I'm going to say it's not. I'm going to say he has a goal, I think, then. Unless I just, for some reason, forgot to mention it. But, yeah, Stankoven makes it 2-0, and, yeah, it's over. So, yeah, Hall comes from behind the net. Matheson refuses to forecheck him. Veleno ends up losing Stankoven in front, but even if he had him, he's scoring that. Dobesh is given no opportunity to make the save, really. 5 minutes left. To be more specific, 4:48 left, and it's 2-0. Suzuki has a chance in the slot save by Freddie. Goes back the other way, and a minute 40 later, Eric Robinson makes it 3-0 off of another horrible Matheson coverage on a beautiful chip pass. Series is over. Robinson scores from Will Carrier, not Alexander. I don't even think if he did pass that right to Robinson that Alex would have gotten an assist for that. So, Canes push for the 4-0 lead. The Habs are just trying to get out of the period. Suzuki gets bumped by Miller to put Caufield offside with 30 seconds left. The shots are 15-4 for the Hurricanes, who have the 3-0 lead after the first period. In the second period, Gouli and Martinook both go down on a collision. Gouli gets the worst of it, would stay in the game though. He does try to get back for a breakaway, does Gouli, and 2 very good saves by Jakub Dobesh there. At 46 seconds, Suzuki gets called for a hold. That sucks. Habs clear, second unit comes out. Gouli gets a clear. Deneau has a steal. There's a near 3-on-2. The long-range shot from Deneau is saved. Nikishin has a shot saved. Habs are 2 for 2 on the penalty kill tonight. Veleno then takes a high stick right off a draw, and that draws a power play at 3:40. Canes clear early. Hudson has a shot saved. Caufield's found in front, but he's stick lifted. Canes are very good in that department, right in front. There's another look. Demidov tries to find Caufield. It ends up cleared, and they clear again late. Habs are 0 for 3 on the power play tonight. And then it's 4-0. Taylor Hall gets on a breakaway. The shot is saved, and the rebound, Jackson Blake buries it for his 5th of the playoffs. Blake scores from Hall and Stankoven at 7:19, as if we needed any more confirmation that the series was done. The Habs try to press. Demidov has a look, but that's pad saved by Freddie. The Canes end up with a power play at 9 minutes as Hudson is called for a high stick. Suzuki pressures to get the puck out. Dobesh then clears all the way down himself. Canes press. Miller has a shot wide. Blake then shoots wide as the Hurricanes maintain pressure. Stankoven then hits the bar. It's a shooting gallery despite 0 shots on the power play. Habs are 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. Matheson off of a pass by Texier. He's given space. He centers to Andersen. And, of course, the Ghost gets stopped. Martinook has a glove stopped by Dobesh. Notice I didn't say Ghost Bear. So, yeah. Habs try to press. Doc finds Carrier, but the shot doesn't get made. Evans from the wall, though, ends up with a shot, and that also gets saved. And with 4 minutes left, the Habs go to a penalty kill. It's a bench minor for too many men. Just dumb shit. You can't give the Hurricanes this much. Stahl has a shot saved. Canes put out the second unit, and 4-0. They set up pressure, and Gosh to spare with a goal late. He gets his second of the playoffs from Jarvis and Ehlers. Habs are 3 for 4 on the penalty kill. Suzuki has a shot saved. There's a shot with Demidov screening in front that also gets saved. Shots are 25-13 for the Hurricanes. They have a 5-0 lead after the second period. And it's at this point that I head to my downstairs area and record the short that I uploaded earlier. I recorded that short during the second intermission and posted it, obviously. I recorded a short and I'm keeping it for myself. You guys can never see it, no. I got most of my thoughts out during that 3-minute short, so if you want to check it out, please do so. I won't put a link in the description because you guys can find it on the channel easily, I'm sure. So, yeah. Oh, nice. I just sold 2 things on eBay as I'm recording. Shout out. That's good at least tonight. Alright, let's get back to the third period. The Habs look for something in the opening minute. You guys can tell I accepted this a long time ago that we were done. I think you guys can tell. Canes ice a puck at 2.5 minutes. Veleno's line gets a little bit of pressure, but 1 shot is all that they end up getting. Blake has a chance, rush chance, but that's saved. Canes ice the puck trying to find him again. Matheson then ices a puck after the Canes push off of a broken stick by Gooley. Freddie plays a puck to negate an icing. He wants the time to keep running. And Carolina says nope. Struble gets tripped by Stahl, and that draws a Canadiens power play at about 9 minutes. Canes clear 3 times in the opening minute. What a shock. Slavkovsky has a one-timer tip by Suzuki, but a good save by Freddie. That's actually at 5 minutes in. That's the first of 2 that they take. Spoiler. Freddie makes a good save on that one, and then Walker shoves Suzuki because he's a bitch. Walker is not Suzuki. Suzuki's pretty cool. Bolduc has a hard hit on Robinson after a shorthanded 2-on-1. The Canes clear. Habs are 0 for 4 on the power play, and then they go right back. Suzuki's stick gets slashed by Gostisbehere. He looks back at the official, and he blows the whistle. He says, yeah, that probably should be a penalty, shouldn't it? And he calls it. Now the Canadiens will get plenty of power plays, now that the series is out of reach. Thank you, refs. Fuck you very much. Demidov has a shot blocked by Stahl in the slot. Demidov with a one-timer that goes wide. Slav has a shot saved. The Canes end up clearing. Caufield off of a puck battle gets found right in front, and he scores 5-hole. A pretty solid goal, actually. Put it behind Freddie Andersen, and Caufield scores his 6th of the playoffs from Hudson at 10:50, or with 9:10 left. The Habs are 1 for 5 on the power play tonight. Dobes has a shot gloved and held with 8 minutes left. Newhook with speed, and there's a glove hold by Freddie. Canes ice it with 6 minutes left. Demidov has a shot saved. The Habs push. There's a pass tipped out of play. Dobesh is pulled with 4:38 left because why wouldn't he be? You really can't make it worse than it is now, can ya? Stahl has a long shot from his own zone off the post of the empty net. Ehlers is a backhander wide. Aho finds Jarvis, and he hits it with 3.5 minutes left. Jarvis scores from Aho and Svechnikov with, really 3:40 left, but who's really counting? Either way, Jarvis makes it 6-1 for the Hurricanes, and just pathetic effort by the Canadiens. Habs get called for too many men with 2:37 left, because why not? Fuck it. The series is done. You might as well just prevent any scrums from breaking out. Not that they would have, because the Habs have zero heart. Yeah, we want the cup chance with 2 minutes left, and the Habs are 4 for 5 on the penalty kill. Literally, the Canes don't even push. They just hold back in their own zone for the entire 2 minutes. They know that they don't need to push for more. And that does it. The shots, not 29-24 for the Hurricanes. The Canadiens with the most shots in this series in the final game. Just fucking ridiculous. So yeah, the Hurricanes, like I said, they win at 6-1 in regulation, and yeah, Canadiens got farther than I think most people assumed that they would, and yeah, so that's the series. The Canes are out in 5, or the Habs are out in 5. Unfortunately, it's not the Hurricanes. This now leads to the least watched Stanley Cup Finals in probably about 20 years, roughly, give or take. Yeah, it sucks that the run ends this way, but that's how it ends, The Cinderella run had to end sometime. If it wasn't here, it was going to be by Vegas, which, I mean, even though they have a rapist in net, we probably could have easily beaten them. Yeah, Canadiens are out, unfortunately. Again, that does it for this season of the HabWrap. I want to thank you guys, the 23 of you who watched the HabWrap this season. It is really appreciated that anybody would listen to the pod. I don't know if we're going to come up and do live shows for next year again. We did get better Wi-Fi recently. So maybe we'll do that instead of the pre-recorded audio-only podcast, because we are doing YouTube-only starting next season again. I'm thinking that we will try and do live versions, and if that doesn't work, then we'll go to the audio-only again. But I'd imagine that we should be able to do the post-game stuff. Yeah, so... Yeah, I am proud of the boys, even though this is not at all how they wanted to end the series. Not at all how they wanted the run to end. But you don't always get what you want, do you now? So, yeah. Changes do need to be made. Changes absolutely need to be made. There are guys that cannot return next season. There are guys that should be called up headed into next season. There's coaches that shouldn't return. There's coaches that should return. I don't know if you guys are interested. Maybe I'll make a full video about that. We shall see. And, yeah. So, yeah, that is going to do it for this episode of the HabWrap. We're going to do the stats, and then we're going to get on out of here. Nick Suzuki leads the Montreal Canadiens with 4 goals, 12 assists for 16 points. Lane Hutson, 3 goals, 13 assists, 16 points. Cole Caufield, 6 goals, 7 assists, 13 points. Yarsovkovsky, 6 goals, 6 assists, and 12 points. Alex Newhook, 7 goals, 3 assists, 10 points. Phil Deneau and Jake Evans, each with 2 goals and 8 assists for 10 points. Ivan Demidov, 3 goals, 6 assists, and 9 points. Alexander Texier, 4 goals, 4 assists for 8 points. Caden Gooley with 8 assists. Josh Anderson, 5 goals, 2 assists, and 7 points. Zachary Bolduc, 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points. Alexander Carrier with a goal and 6 assists for 7 points. Kirby Doc, 4 goals, 8 assists for 5 points. Mike Matheson, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. Arbor Jacki with a goal and an assist for 2 points. Brendan Gallagher with a goal. Noah Dobson, Joe Valeno, and Jakub Dobesh all with an assist. And Yuri Slavkovsky with the lone fight for the Montreal Canadiens. Jakub Dobesh had a 9-10 record, a 2.66 goals against average, and a 9.08 save percentage to end his postseason. Poor Jacob Fowler only got into about 8 minutes of ice time, had it ruined by Mike Matheson. No record, a 7.16 goals against average, and a 500 save percentage. that is again going to do it for this episode of the HabWrap. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. You can hit the follow button if you're watching this elsewhere, but not really going to get much else aside from maybe a little update podcast episode that I might post. I don't know when. I know I'm going to. I don't know when, though. So, yeah. And also, please don't forget to share the podcast with anybody who you think might enjoy it, such as a fellow Montreal Canadiens fan, a hockey fan that's maybe looking for a Canadiens podcast, or somebody who you think might enjoy listening to some fat kid from Quebec talk about the Montreal Canadiens for half an hour after every game. So, again, that is going to do it for this episode of the HabWrap. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, my name is Harry Rice. And from everybody here to the Montreal Canadiens, thank you guys for giving me a great team to root for. And always remember, no matter how good we were last year, how pretty damn good we were like this year, or how fantastic we're going to be in the future, go Habs go, Allez Montreal, and say with me everybody, c'est la boue!